Hey everybody, my name is Tef, and today we're just gonna have a real casual design with me stream, designing this, what I hope will be super beautiful mermaid sticker kit. I'm focusing on the full boxes. Sorry, I have cats. And I actually started designing these full boxes last week during the design with me, and I didn't finish. Sometimes I'm able to design full boxes real fast, and sometimes it takes a long time, and this time it's taken a long time, but I'm having fun. So I decided to do a part 2 to this design with me stream. I'm thinking I'm gonna make it a weekly thing because this is a lot of fun. It gives you guys an idea to see the behind the scenes, but also if you have any comments or suggestions of things I can do with this, please let me know. Also, feel free to chat about just like whatever you want in the chat, because I'm going to be reading the chat, and as I said, this is casual. We do not have to focus on designing. I am happy to talk about other stuff while I'm designing planner stuff. Hey Abigail, thank you for coming. So as you might have been able to see, apart or differently from my other streams, specifically when I'm talking about Erin Condren stuff or the planner basics stream that I just did, this is casual. I'm going to be looking at the chat the whole time. I'm not going to be telling you to put in your questions if you have them, but I won't answer them till the end. This is casual. Think of this I don't know, a Twitch stream or something like that. This is the hangout, get to know me, let's have fun, ask about my cats or what have you. So let me go ahead and switch to the screen share so you can see what we have so far. By the way, this mermaid sticker kit, it is only half done. Keep that in mind. I think I have this full box, and this full box, and maybe this one to my liking so far. So we have 4, maybe 4.5 to go. When I'm designing, I always like to start with my full boxes and then design the rest of the kit around it. I use essentially a template for the rest of the kit. I like to design the full boxes, and then depending on how the full boxes turned out, then I will take colors from the artwork from the full boxes and kind of go from there. Speaking of the artwork, I'm not going to lie and say I painted all of this myself, because I did not. I licensed my graphics from other artists. This beautiful set of artwork is from Anna S. Creations. I licensed it from the Hungry JPEG. If you've heard of Creative Market, it's a site very similar to it. I like it because it has some different stuff on there. It has some of the same stuff too, but it has some different stuff, so a lot of times I'm able to get very unique graphics. There's also fonts and other stuff like that. So I do have a link to Anna S. Creations on the Hungry JPEG down below if that's something you're interested in. That is just a normal link, but I actually just got accepted to the Hungry JPEG affiliate program, so I might switch the link out in the future. I'm actually very excited because I've been using the Hungry JPEG to license my graphics for my sticker shop for years, since 2017, I think. So it's exciting that they decided to accept me into the affiliate program. As somebody who does run their own creative business, I'm sure, as you know, income streams, it's important to have a lot of them. And I figure if there's something that, anybody out there who does like designing things is interested in anyway, then I might as well get a commission, because I'm not going to force you to buy anything, but I just want to be straightforward. So as I said, as of streaming, that is not an affiliate link, but it might change later, and I legitimately love the Hungry JPEG. They also have a lot of freebies, so if you're a designer but you can't afford to license stuff, they have weekly freebies, and they also have a lot of $1 fonts and simple graphics. It's a great place to go. They also have SVGs and things like that. So whether you use my link or not, highly recommend the Hungry JPEG. They are excellent. So let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to go over before I dig into what's going on. Oh, so the full boxes that I'm designing for this particular sticker kit are going to be for my May planner kit subscription box. They will also eventually be available on Etsy, though I will admit I'm really bad about getting my kits on Etsy in a timely manner. There you go. So if you do like using planner sticker kits or even functional stickers, I do have a link with the coupon code for the sticker subscription over on Cratejoy. I also have an Etsy link if you're interested in planner stickers, and if you just want to hang out or figure out what happens behind the scenes while I'm designing, then that is perfectly fine too, and you're welcome to hang out. No need to monetarily support me, though it is greatly appreciated. If you do want to support me, even if it's not monetarily, a thumbs up or a comment would be awesome. So those are a couple of free ways. Okay, so let's kind of dig into this. As I said, it's gonna be casual. I do tend to ramble, so if there are not a lot of comments in the chat going on, I will be rambling and just kind of talking stream of consciousness about what I'm doing and what I'm looking at. If you guys chat in the chat and say things to me, whether they're related to this or not, then I'll attend to that, and that's just how it goes. So over here I have all my graphics. I have everything in different folders. As you can see, apart from the full boxes, sorry, I know my head is covering up some of it. I do have a 3-screen setup, by the way. I know it's extreme. It was only supposed to be 2, and the 3 just kind of happened. But if you see me looking up, I'm probably looking at the chat or my stream settings. Okay, and my ear is cracking, like in a weird way, like almost as if there's like feedback, except I don't have any sort of digital implants in my ear, so I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, okay, so we are looking at our full boxes. And last time I did these 3 to the point that I liked them. This one I wasn't sure about, but kind of looking back at it, I think I really like it. So I'm going to assume that I'm going to keep that the way it is for the time being. These I kind of just threw stuff in. A lot of times when I'm starting designing, I will throw elements into the frame and then go back. Hey Sharon, thanks for showing up. And so those, these are kind of half done from times when I was throwing stuff in the frame. And then artboards 2 and 5, I haven't done anything to yet. I'm in Photoshop, by the way. If you're not familiar with the program Photoshop, I do my full boxes in Photoshop, and then I actually put the kits together and make the stickers from Silhouette Studio, which is the software that goes with my sticker cutter, a silhouette portrait. But this is where like a lot of the designing goes on. So I think right now what I'm going to do is I am going to focus on getting something in artboards 2 and 5, just so I have something, even if it's just a rough draft, even if it ends up changing later, for all of my full boxes. You'll see here, I specifically made sure to have the window with my graphical assets viewable on the screen and not have it on my separate screen, because I wanted you to see like kind of what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking about. This is really the like pulling the veil back sort of thing. So you can really see what my designing process looks like when I'm designing full boxes for sticker kits. And I think I might do one once I have the full boxes done. I might do a stream where I take the full boxes and I put them in a kit. So you can see what that looks like as well. So a lot of times these things, when you license graphics from artists, they will come with pre-done compositions. And last week I had a couple of situations where I started, this one specifically, I started with, I think it was this aquarium composition, or maybe it was another thing. I started with something and then I ended up, I think I started with the decorated mermaid actually. And I ended up just doing my own thing and like replacing it with different elements and changing it. So I often like to start with these compositions as a way to kind of get some inspiration if I am not sure where to go. When I was really new to designing, I would sometimes use these pre-done compositions, or a lot of these graphics sets usually come with like digital papers or backgrounds, and I would use more of those. And I've gotten away from using those even for things in my sticker kits where you would see like a pattern. So for instance, like my bottom boxes or my washi strips, I'm much more likely now to like blow something like this up and use that as a backing for it instead of like an actual repeating pattern. So it's kind of cool to see kind of the difference and the evolution of my design style over time. So I think this box started from one of these, and I think I decided to put the blue or the green in there because I wanted the bold color, but we have a lot of colors over here. Let's see. I already kind of have something like this with her. I kind of decided to keep things a little bit simpler again. This with the rock and the harp is definitely going to need something else. I mean, they're all going to need something else. I'm also, for the most part, staying away from, I'm not sure if you can see that, especially if you're on a small screen, but a lot of these have like a lot of little like strings of pearl detailing on them. And I haven't really been using that. So that might change. Same with kind of like the gold glitter elements, like the pattern on this rock. Haven't really been using that either. Part of that is just personal preference. And part of that is that these stickers are not specifically going to have foil on them. And I don't want there to be confusion. I don't want someone to think they're buying foiled stickers and then find that it is just printed on. So between my personal preference and wanting to make it clear to the customer, I'm probably going to end up steering clear of that. That might change. But this is going to sound really blunt, and then I will explain it a little bit. Customers don't read. Myself included. So I'm not even going to say like everyone else besides me doesn't read the description and know what they're getting. No, I don't read. I skim, especially if I'm looking for something specific, but I definitely almost never read the whole product description before I make a purchase. So I don't want to, I kind of like to treat the description of my, I need to kind of look as I'm talking here of what I want to do. I like to treat the description of my listings on Etsy as more of the fine print. And I like to put as much information in the pictures as possible. But it's a little bit hard to communicate that like this is not an actual foiled kit in a picture without making people say like, oh, it's not foiled, and like disappointed and want to click off. So again, it's just one of those things that I think is just easier to avoid. One thing I talked about a lot last week is how a lot of these graphical kits will come with these really beautiful flowers, but in some cases they don't really fit the theme. Like under the sea mermaids, like there are definitely some like sea plants and whatnot that are a little bit more flowery, but you're much more likely to see like seagrass and stuff like that. So as you can see, I'm like really leaning into the seagrass here. I don't know. I just feel like that makes it a little bit better, and not better, just it's something I like a little bit more. Okay, so these are, the thing is that these are so pretty, and I just went on like this whole thing about how I don't want to confuse people into thinking that these are foiled. I guess these look a little bit less foiled than like the sparkly ones. I don't especially like that. I'm just being indecisive. I often am indecisive. The other thing that I will sometimes do is I will take a look at the papers and patterns, the digital papers and patterns that come in a kit. If anybody who's here live has any suggestions based on the graphics I've shown you so far as to what could be done for a full box, please let me know. I am totally open to suggestions of all kinds. All I ask is really in any chat or comment section of any of my videos or streams is that if you're going to criticize something, be polite about it. You know, don't say this is trash. Say I don't like this because of this, you know, whatever. You don't have to be, you can say you don't like something without being rude is what I'm saying. And so that's all I ask. Let's see, I'm not really liking, not that I'm not liking any of these patterns, but nothing's really like speaking to me. this is where I got last time, and I was like, oh, it's at the end of, 2 hours of doing this, and I'm thinking, maybe I'm just tired designing, but maybe I'm at a point where I'm just not done. But okay, I think I like the idea of like the mama mermaid and the younger mermaid. So I think what I'm gonna do, we're gonna have to move some artboards around a little bit, I think. Let's see. That's okay. I don't have to decide where everything is gonna go exactly now. Because some of this is kind of similar to this one, sometimes it's kind of hard to design stuff right next to each other, but that's okay. I think we're just gonna do this in artboard 2. If anybody who's not familiar with Photoshop is like really confused, typically when you start a project, you get you say what dimensions you want. You get a canvas on your screen. Artboards are effectively like, I want multiple canvases on the screen. So all of these are sized exactly to what I need the graphics to be sized for full boxes. For the Erin Condren vertical planners, which is what I design my kits for, specifically, that dimension, once they're cut, is 1.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall. That's not actually, I believe, the size of the boxes currently, but that is what they were once upon a time, and honestly, because the width never changed, I never bothered changing them, and most people that design sticker kits did not bother changing the height of their full boxes. Plus, if I remember correctly, the colorful and the neutral versions of the Erin Condren vertical planners have slightly different sizes of full boxes. I could be wrong. I have not measured any time recently. But if I'm not remembering wrong, then it could be kind of hard, because then you're like, okay, this is like a vertical kit, and this one is for, the colorful, and this one is for the neutral. And then if somebody has a colorful one year and then a neutral the next year, or vice versa, then that could, cause problems as far as them using their kits, because they might think that they can't use a kit. And honestly, if I'm going to take the time to design 2 different versions of the same kit, I would rather add on a new option. I don't want to just resize the full boxes for 2 different dimensions of vertical planners. I'd rather resize them so they are designed perfectly for Erin Condren horizontal or Hobonichi or something else like that. I feel like that's just a lot more useful when I am, thinking about my time, as as a business owner. Again, this is like pulling back the curtain of what goes into a sticker shop. And when you're resizing things, you don't just have to think about, specifically these full box stickers, you don't necessarily just have to think about oh, let's make it bigger, let's make it smaller, but sometimes you can't really cut off the top or the bottom to change the dimensions without changing the look of the sticker. So then you kind of have to go in and take the elements and redesign it again. And so that's why I haven't really ventured outside of vertical, because I have not personally seen enough need to do that to make the time worthwhile versus doing other things. All right. So I'm just trying to walk you through my whole thought process. As I said, that's kind of what I'm doing for everything. It's the whole thing. Let's see. I want to throw some kind of background on here. I'm not sure what quite yet. I definitely don't want to do something beigey, both because it would blend in with the colors of the mermaid and the little daughter, and I don't want them to blend in, but also because from a scene standpoint, it would make a lot more sense to have half of it be beige and half of it not, and that just is more complicated and I don't want to deal with it. Quite honestly. Sorry, my nose is itching. This is what you get for a casual stream. I'm not gonna, not if my nose was itching in some of my more formal streams, I would probably still scratch it. But In the more casual ones, I'm going to care even less about scratching it. A lot of times I like to use these sorts of elements and just kind of blow them up really big for the background. Lots of pearls. That's kind of pretty. I don't think this is going to work, but let's give it a shot. All right, and for anyone who watched last week's, I was complaining about having to like press shift every time I was resizing things. It was like literally one button. I knew it was so simple, and I figured it out. Also, if I'm accidentally designing stuff behind my face in the corner, please let me know. I've been thinking about trying to redo my setup so that it is easier to see the full screen share. I hope that makes sense. And I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't have a good reason, except I haven't done it yet. I don't know if the current like theme graphics and whatnot that I'm using have things that would make it easy to do for that. That did not even make sense. That's okay. Things do not have to make perfect sense on a casual stream. I should probably just put this behind the mermaid and see what happens, because as I said, I don't think it's going to work out. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Let's zoom back in. Yeah, I don't think I like that, but what I am going to do is add a drop shadow. And I just forgot, I was designing other stuff this week. So typically in Photoshop, the last settings for like drop shadows and outlines and whatnot saves like for the next one that you're going to do. And I totally forgot that I was doing some other stuff throughout the week and changed those settings up a lot. So I am going to, where am I? Okay, copy layer style. So that's going to copy any effects I have on the layer. In this case, it's just a drop shadow. I usually end up putting a drop shadow on almost everything that's not a background. Not so that you see like, it's not supposed to necessarily be like a big drop shadow on everything. It's supposed to be fairly subtle and mostly just kind of separate it from the background. I mean, if you look at it, it looks like a drop shadow. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't, but I mean, that kind of separates her a little bit more. I still don't like how those colors there blend into the lighter colors of her. I mean, I don't think I'm going to like this, but I could still zoom out a little bit and see if I could get like another color from this going. Nah, I just don't like that. Okay. So I think what we might do, just because I feel like the framing of this is very similar to this one. What was that? Huh. I'm going to try. A lot of this is me trying something, liking it or not liking it, and then either going with it or coming up with something else. You will notice. And I also have a fan, by the way, that I'm turning on and off as I go because I get hot really easily. Okay, so I like that framing still shows the important parts, but it differentiates that full box from that one. And then I think on the actual sticker sheet, if I put this like down here or something like that, that I don't think they'll feel too close to each other. Sharon, the capability of the software is pretty cool. It is. Yeah, Photoshop is amazing. And I will say, with everything, like I don't even use probably like 1/10 of what Photoshop is capable of doing. It's crazy what this stuff can do. I'm primarily self-taught in Photoshop, which, I mean, is kind of a flex. But, ooh, I'm kind of liking that a little bit now. But the downside of that is that I probably missed some stuff along the way. And so there are probably some things that a lot of other people use in Photoshop that I just don't know how to do. There are actually some things in Photoshop that I didn't bother doing for the longest time. Ooh, like this. That I didn't bother learning for the longest time. And then when I was finally forced to kind of teach myself, because I needed it for various things, it was mostly for like mock-ups for my shop images. It like blew my mind, and I shared it with one of my Etsy friends, and they like laughed. They're like, "Oh my god, that's been a thing in Photoshop forever, and you're just now discovering it." I'm like, yeah. Okay, I like that. You can't really tell it's a shell. It more looks like a cave, but oh my god, no, stop itching. But I still like that. I feel like it adds to, visual interest, and it differentiates it from this one. Because again, it's like two mermaids, and they're in similar poses, like the adult mermaid is. They both have their eyes closed. I feel like, you know, something like that just kind of sets it off. Maybe if we got some of that yellow going here. This is me just having fun with it. So, funny story. For the longest time, I think I told you when I first started designing, oh, that is pretty. Okay, I might have to use that as a background, not for this one, but for something else, because the fins of that fish is gorgeous. In this particular case, though, I want to do more. I want it down here, and then I'm going to bring the other stuff ahead of that. Okay, so I told you for the longest time, I did not, I just used like the digital papers and the patterns that would come with a lot of these graphic sets. They're typically designed by the artist. And don't get me wrong, they're beautiful, but from an objective point, I wasn't doing quite as much to change it and make it my own. And then I had graphics, I forget which set it was, but I had graphics that I'd licensed, and I absolutely loved the artwork, but it didn't come with its own digital papers. But I really, really, really wanted to use it for a kit, and I had to get creative. And that's when I kind of figured out that, like, whoa, I can use other elements as backgrounds, and they usually end up being a lot more interesting because you get, you know, a lot of unique patterns and things like that. And then it was more of a, oh, Sharon, let's see. No, don't worry about leaving. I would love if you watch the replay, but don't really worry about it. Like, I'm all about naps, and like you and your health and what you need is much more important than watching the stream. So don't even worry. Anyway, so what I was saying is that, what was I saying? Oh, so one of the side effects of me having, you know, kind of this design style, and it wasn't an intended side effect, but it just kind of happened because of it, is that, you know, I do have a very different design style than a lot of other people who are designing planner stickers out there. So, again, it's just one of those things that sets me apart, and every designer has things that they like to do, and this is kind of one of mine that sets me apart from the competition. And that is, I mean, that is really important anytime you have any sort of business. Like, what is it that sets it apart from the competition? But also, you know, because I really do like doing these streams on YouTube and, you know, doing other things, you know, just kind of putting some of my personality into it. Yeah. So I have my sticker shop over on Etsy and my sticker subscription, which is on a different platform, but I kind of consider them as like being extensions of each other. I tried to do the sticker subscription on Etsy, but they just don't have the automatic like billing that Cratejoy does. So I had to move platforms. But I started on YouTube. I know a lot of people, almost nobody, I think, who I had beginning on my YouTube channel is still watching. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I did not start on YouTube talking about planners. I started by talking about makeup. And then I tried to expand to lifestyle. And one of those things was right when I was making that expansion, I got my first Erin Condren planner and started getting into sticker planning. And that was the thing that like really helped me start planning consistently and staying organized. And because I tend to be an artistic person, I started making my own stickers and then decided to open a sticker shop. But my whole background with that is, you know, YouTube. And a lot of YouTube is personality based. And even if I didn't have like a big YouTube channel or anything, that's still definitely something I think about a lot and a consideration of mine. So just having like being able to not only have a different art style than other designers, but also being able to explain my thought process behind that different art style is really cool. And I like it. I'm going to try this fish. When you think about it a little bit too much, using fish like this as backgrounds, like, again, I'm thinking about it way too much, could be a little, but whatever. Okay. You won't even be able to recognize it's a fish. Oh, that actually does look pretty, though. I think I like the cave the most, though. Okay. So I want... Ooh, okay. I like that. I like the contrast of the peach coral color specifically to the Little Mermaid's fin. It does blend in a little bit with her hair, but once I move that below the shell, that's not going to be an issue. For anybody who's not familiar with how layers work in like Photoshop or Procreate, because they work, as far as what I'm about to describe, very similarly, a lot of programs do. Basically, whatever's on top is seen and covers up things on the bottom. So if I'm doing anything at any point that you're like, what are you doing? You are not describing that right. Please let me know. Because again, this is casual and I'm just doing kind of like stream of consciousness unless I see somebody post something in the chat. So yeah. And by the way, I'm just going to hang out here as long as I feel like hanging out here designing. We'll see how it goes. Last time I was on for 2 weeks, but I also did a half-an-hour stream that went over a little bit right before this. So we shall see. The goal, the goal was to kind of get an audience for these like hangout design with me streams that wouldn't necessarily think to come hang out because they're not necessarily interested in the design stuff, but just wanted to come and chat and hang out. And so the idea is doing the 2 streams back to back. I think I like that. I think I'm going to keep that for the time being. I think it still needs some oomph, but I think for the time being, that's okay. Anyway, the idea was to kind of reach those people that would want to hang out, but wouldn't necessarily think to come on their own. We shall see. I am trying to come up with some sort of constant stream schedule and figure out what that is going to be so that I can be like, okay, I'm going live. Ooh, that's pretty. I think I already used that. The other thing I think I was doing last week, sorry, I am all over the place. The other thing that, oh my goodness, what was I going to say? Oh, I'm not sure if I want to continue to do like back-to-back streams. We'll see. But I do really like the idea of even the videos that are a little bit more formal, like streaming them instead of pre-recording them. I think I've talked about this before, but my least favorite part of YouTube since I started YouTube was the editing. And the wait while the video was uploading. And when you stream, both of those things go away. I wasn't really cutting much out of my streams anyway, or my videos anyway. I was literally like essentially chopping off the beginning and the end to make it look clean, and putting some music, sometimes doing some color correction, and that was it. And so eventually I would like to add some music to my streams. I just haven't taken the time to actually do that. But apart from that, there isn't really much that I'm losing by streaming as opposed to pre-recording videos. It's easy for me. It's all of the fun parts with none of the not fun parts, in my opinion, for the most part. And I don't know, it's just fun. So what I was looking at was what this vibrance layer was. This is what's called an adjustment layer. So this is going to affect everything in that artboard under it. So in this case, I basically made the colors brighter. So I put vibrance at 100 and saturation at 17. Gonna be perfectly honest, I can never quite keep straight what the difference is. Saturation is going to be the brightness and like how vivid the colors are. Ooh, I like that. So that's saturation. Like how much, if you were looking at like paint pigment, it's like how much actual color pigment is in that. Is it just a little bit or is it a lot? Vibrance, I'm not so sure about. It does something similar, but it's definitely not the same thing. I should probably look that up eventually, especially because I call myself a designer. But that is what it is. Okay, so I keep going back and forth between my design process and what I was talking about otherwise. So, I was talking, I think, about stream schedules going forward and what my plans are. I talked a little bit about why I did the back-to-back today and kind of my reasoning behind that. I definitely, if I do that again, I definitely have to leave more time for the first stream so I'm not late to the second one. Originally, when I planned that I was going to do that stream, or the physical versus digital planning stream, I've been wanting to do a video or a stream on that for so long. So like, I'm glad I finally got to do that and really look at it and dig into it. But I didn't think I was going to have nearly as much to talk about. At first I was thinking like, oh, should I like really go into the different planner layouts and the variations you can see in them separately? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I think that would be better. And then, you know, when I actually did it, when I actually made out my outline for today's video, I'm like, whoa, I have so much more to talk about here. I'm really glad I split it up. And I actually did a really short version of this particular video on TikTok a few weeks ago. And obviously I went into a lot more depth because I really wanted to go into how all of those considerations impact your choices when you are deciding what planner works best for you. But I'm thinking like, oh, I have 10, maybe 15 minutes worth of time to, worth of content to talk about. And then if there are any comments, great. And then I'll like cut it off 5 minutes before the next stream, or maybe 10. And then I will just, and then we'll do the, hang out and design with me stream. And if there are any other questions about that, then we can do it then. And then I get talking. I'm like, oh, never underestimate my own ability to ramble on. So that's why I'm perfectly fine doing these sorts of design with me streams and just kind of rambling about whatever. I guess I have a lot of practice from my old plan with me videos, which I would like to do again eventually. It's been a long time, but I would literally mostly film it in one go. I'll hopefully get back to why I said mostly in just a second, but I would film my old plan with me streams in one go and just talk live. And then again, minimal editing after the fact. I'd often add some some music behind it and upload. And I got really used to rambling about whatever seemed applicable at the moment. And that's how I came to this, where I'm perfectly comfortable rambling for an hour or two on a stream about what I'm doing. I can't decide what I want to do for this last one. I have something for all of the rest. That's what happened with the other one. I just kind of clicked around until I found something, and I'm like, huh, that could work. I wasn't planning on using any of these frames, but I'm not really liking anything else. So let's see if I can find anything. As you saw, maybe, like, you know, cutting off parts of different things. I've had a lot of good luck with. Maybe, I know I said I wasn't going to use the pearls, but something like this could be pretty. Okay, let's try that. See, I'm glad I looked at it. Let's collapse this. So I'm not looking at a whole huge thing. Okay, artboard 5 is what we're working on. Great. Open it. Let's put this in. All right, so while I'm doing this, I've been wanting to chat a little bit about the plans for going forward on this channel, because if anybody has feedback of things they would like to see or has opinions on anything I'm about to say about what I'm thinking about, I would love to hear it. I know I talked a little bit about this on Monday's stream, where we were talking about the second sneak peek for the Erin Condren Life Planner. And one thing I said is I asked about, would people be interested in me continuing to cover Erin Condren news after the Life Planner is launched? And a lot of people said yes, and I was so excited about that, because honestly, like, covering the Life Planner sneak peeks and really digging into it is so much fun for me. I think I've mentioned this a couple times, but I'll mention it again because I don't know, like, how many of the same viewers were here versus saw that. But I'm also, like, a huge nerd in a lot of ways. Geek, I don't know how you want to say it. I love video games. So I actually follow a lot of video game channels, and I don't tend to watch a ton of video game live streams at the moment, but I do watch a lot of news channels. And so one of the styles that a lot of the video game news channels use is they will take a look at trailers or informational photos and things like that, and they will pick it apart and analyze it in really small detail. And when I first started my coverage of the Erin Condren Life Planners, I realized that there wasn't anything like that for planners. And I'm like, haha, that sounds like a lot of fun. So that's how the whole Life Planner coverage started, for anybody who is curious about it. And obviously since then, I've kind of made it my own. And I mean, that's the best part of being creative and, making videos or now doing streams, that, you can make things your own and, just kind of do whatever you want, have a starting place, and then, do what's best for you and your audience. So that can be really great. But that's where the whole thing started. But because it whole started during a time where there was a lot of news, I wasn't exactly sure. I think those are the settings. Ooh, that's pretty. Well, okay, I like it on here. I don't like it on the background. There's a simple solution to that. It's called a clipping mask, so that this, okay, so this is called an adjustment layer, and the idea is that I think I went over this a little bit, but it affects everything in the same artboard or in the same folder under it. You can, I don't think I use folders too much, but you can group your layers into folders. In my case, it's artboards because I have a different artboard or canvas for every full box. So typically it will affect everything below it, but if you make it a clipping mask, it will only affect the one layer below it. And so that's what I just did, because I didn't want to up the vibrance of the background there. Anyway, what I was saying I was talking about my life planner coverage going forward. Okay, that's pretty, but I need some. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by the design stuff. So I'm not sure if there's going to be enough content going forward to justify being able to do oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Being able to justify doing like an Erin Condren news, I don't know, like roundup once a week. So I'm trying to figure out how to kind of handle that. I'm the kind of person that likes schedules and patterns. And even though I'm really bad at sticking to them, I like being able to come up with some sort of structure that I can say like, okay, even if everything's not exactly the same, like this is how it works. So like, for example, in my sticker shop, I have like a price structure of like, this is how much this kind of sticker paper, you know, costs. If it's like a smaller sticker with laminate on it, because I've just expanded into like more water resistant stickers a little bit. It's like, okay, this is the base price. This is the price for this laminate. This is the price for this kind of laminate because I have holographic and glossy. I literally am reaching over here because I was cutting, I'm not done, but I was cutting clear laminate. I still have to cut out my actual templates. And then like, here's what it costs for this specific size, if that makes sense. So it's convoluted, but let's say I was going to make a 7-inch sticker with holographic laminate. I literally have a price structure where even though I've never done that, I can be like, okay, this is my price structure. This is what the base price would be according to that price structure. If I wanted to adjust it from there, I could, but I don't. With my sticker sheets, I price it by the sticker paper, not the number of stickers on the sheet. I felt like even though a sheet of stickers that has more stickers on it where the stickers are tinier takes longer to cut out, I felt like it wasn't fair to charge more for it from like a customer point of view. So I price it by the type of sticker paper, and then I just take the hit, essentially. Not the hit, but you know, I take into consideration how much time it takes me to like cut a sheet of stickers for like kind of my medium-sized stickers. And then if they're smaller, then it takes a little longer. And if they're bigger, the stickers, then it takes a little bit less and it evens out in the end. So that's kind of how I thought about all that good stuff. So as far as my streams go, I'd love to be able to say like going forward, I'm going to do, you know, Erin Condren or planner news streams or whatever it is, you know, once every other week or every week or whatever, what have you. And I just haven't figured out what that frequency is that makes the most sense, because obviously sometimes there is a lot more news and sometimes there's a lot less news. And I want it to be reliable for people who are like, oh, it's, you know, for example, it's Monday, it's Erin Condren News Day. Like it is for the sneak peeks. Like once I figured out that the sneak peeks were going to be on, you know, coming out on Mondays, I'm like, okay, I will do my streams analyzing the sneak peeks on Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, because that's going to give plenty of time in case it takes a while to get the email, because sometimes like different people get the email at different times of the day. I've also been sleeping in a lot lately. My body has decided that the best time to go to sleep at night is between 2 and 4 a.m., which is lovely. So it means I don't have to get up super early, and I'm not putting myself in a position where I'm constantly really tired. So like that is a lot better for me from a like just general perspective. So yeah, like that's how I got 2:30 p.m. on Monday. And then because 2:30 p.m. on Monday worked pretty well for my schedule, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to do it like streams any other day of the week, then might make sense to do it 2:30 on those days as well, because it kind of like fits in, you know? I already know that time of day works well for me. Whoopsies. So I might as well not mess with it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So that's kind of how I got 2:30 p.m. Pacific for the time that I'm doing my streams. Originally I was going to do the design streams, or have like my second day being Friday, but my upstairs neighbor has a meeting on Friday afternoons. And when one of us is like, when I'm streaming, sometimes it can slow their internet down. So I'm like, hey, I don't want to inconvenience you. Since I already knew about that particular conflict, I'm like, I just won't do Friday. I'll just tell you like what days, just in case like it might be the kind of thing that could impact you. That way, yeah, that way, you know, we're being good neighbors, we're working together sort of deal. So that's why I'm not streaming on Fridays. But originally I was thinking about switching back and forth between, what did I just do? I don't even know. Originally I was thinking about switching back and forth between plan with me's and design with me's. And that was going to be like the whole thing. And then I ran into some technical difficulties. Back when I was filming all of my Erin Condren sneak peek analysis videos, I had a setup where I took my DSLR and I essentially hooked it up to my computer and used it as a webcam and recorded that on my computer. And there were two benefits to doing that. The first benefit was that I cut out a step of importing the footage into my camera from my computer, which doesn't take super long, but it was another step. And if I could do it in my computer, then that just made it a little bit easier. I did sacrifice a little bit on quality, but I chose to take that sacrifice. And the other reason I chose to take that sacrifice was that my camera, because it's a DSLR, has a 10-minute recording limit. More modern, I'm not sure if that's really the right word, DSLR cameras. And when I mean like DSLR cameras, I mean, I'm not going to go into the specifics. I don't think I have my camera like really near, but oh, yes I do. No, we're talking like, I mean, this is kind of like an amateur professional camera. Like it, you know, it's I think I paid $300 for it, but that was like, I don't know, 10 years ago. But I mean, like actual professionals pay thousands of dollars just for like the body of the camera, and then the lens they pay for like a lot separately. But I have what is part of the Canon T, or it's a Canon Rebel, and then there are a bunch of different like numbers. I have a lot of dust on my camera I have to clean. Oh, some of it's not dust, it's just dirt. Anyway, I have a T3i. Last I checked a few years ago, they were up to like, I mean, this, even back in, I want to say like 2018, 2019, they were up to like the 6 or the 7. So now, again, it's been a long time since I checked, probably at least 2 or 3 years. Now these cameras can film, I think it's for up to 30 minutes, or at least it was, without having to stop. Because they're not necessarily designed originally for filming cameras. They're originally designed to be photography cameras, but a lot of YouTubers and other people, you know, have started using them. And so Canon, the company that makes them, and a lot of the other companies, Sony, Nikon, whatever, have since adapted and started, my hair, adding in features that, you know, YouTubers and streamers and things like that wanted. And when I was filming with the camera, like as a quote unquote webcam, I could bypass all of those limits. I lost a little bit in quality, but I could bypass those limits, which was amazing. However, my computer has been reformatted a couple of times since I did that. And for some reason, when I tried to set it up this time around with the same software, it wanted to be really low quality. And I don't know if that's something I can fix because I have since upgraded my operating system. I used to be on Mac Mojave. I was for years. I refused to upgrade because I actually there was a reason to my madness. I'm a huge audiobook person, and I mean a lot of people are, but I have a lot of audiobooks that I've accumulated that are not through Audible or some sort of other app. I just have the audiobook files for them, just on my computer. And there are some changes to how Mac computers handle audiobooks that negatively impact me. One of them being that you used to be able to keep your audiobook files on an external hard drive and then just load them onto your phone. And Apple stopped in the newer operating systems the ability to do that. And I am constantly running into space issues. And so almost everything like on my computer, except like simple documents and a few photos, are literally kept on an external hard drive. Here, let me show you this. So this is Juno. She's my beautiful external hard drive. Yes, I do name my electronics. Yes, I'm crazy. I've been doing this since high school. It half started as a joke, and now it's just, I don't know, it's a lot more fun. Like when I look on my desktop to see like Juno versus like Samsung hard drive T7 or whatever it is. It's just more fun. So all of my electronics have a name. My MacBook Pro's name is Adriana. I've had her since November of 2016, I think. And she's still going strong. And so anyway, I ended up partitioning the hard drive. So Monterey is the partition I'm currently on. That's where I have all of my programs installed. And then I have Mojave as a separate partition. And literally all I do, the only reason I go over there is if I need to load audiobooks onto my phone. So that's how I have it set up. And then I used to have other external hard drives, but they need some work. They are, I'm not sure what the actual term is, like optical drives, I think maybe, optical hard drives. Like they're not solid state drives. So occasionally they get like have issues with saving to them. They're fine if I just want to like archive something and then not do anything with it. But occasionally they get to a point where I have to take everything off of them and reformat them before I can save stuff to them again. So they're not great for everyday use. Whereas my new one that costs 3 times the money doesn't have that issue because it is a solid state drive and doesn't have any moving parts in it. That's my understanding at least. And so anyway, all of my hard drives have their own names because again, it's fun. That's really what it comes down to. My phone's name is Valeria. And my iPad's name is Cressida, and my Nintendo Switch's name is Cordelia, or Cordy for short. I think those are my main... Oh, my printers. I have 2 printers currently, Maria and Ariel. I tend to use all girl names. They're also all Shakespeare names, despite the fact that I don't like Shakespeare. That's just like one of those weird traditions. And then I have 2 sticker cutters. I only use one of them very often. I think Diana. I tried to like name them in the like software, and the sticker cutters just like would not stick with the naming. But you can see I'm pulling up my list of names. I think it's in here. Here we go. Okay. So Valeria, Switch Cordelia, the Canon T3 I showed you is Bianca. I have hard drives, one named Miranda, and then I have one where the main partition is Tamara, and the extra partition is Alexis. I have a really old hard drive named Viola. Cressida is my iPad. Maria and Ariel are the two printers I'm using. I have another printer that is colorblind, and if I can ever figure out how to get her working, her name is Imogen. Titania is my, oh, wait a minute, I messed them up. I've been calling my portrait 2 Diana and my portrait 1 Titania. I might have to switch that. This is my label printer, who I have not named yet. And that is, I haven't put her name in, Juno. So yeah, that is all of my device names. Yay. I'm crazy. As I said, it's just fun. And it's not the kind of thing that, like, when I tell people I name my devices, they're like, you're crazy. I think I did a video a few years back where I was like, I'm unboxing my new iPhone. I think it might have been like the iPhone 7 or something. I forget. And I'm like, this is her name. Her name is Alice. And I was just kind of joking around. And I got so many comments. It's like, you name your iPhones? That's so weird. And I'm like, dude, I don't like say like, oh, give me a minute. I left Alice on the kitchen table. Like, no, I just say I left my phone on the kitchen table. So all of that to say, no, I don't think, okay, I'm weird. I'm not that weird. Not that there's anything wrong with actually being that weird. If that's something that makes, like, gives you joy and doesn't bother anyone, then, like, what's the harm? So, yeah. I don't like that. But that is a thing I do. The whole thing started with, I think I said it started in high school. So I'll tell you the story of how the whole thing started. So this whole naming my electronic thing started because in high school, as with most high schools, we had like no budget for anything. And I was head of the literary arts magazine at the time. This is like back in, I want to say like 2005, 2006. Like, we're talking a long time ago here. And we had need for an external hard drive because for some reason or another, like the school's file systems was not meeting our needs. And I had wanted to get an external hard drive for a while to kind of meet my needs anyway. So I convinced my dad to buy me an external hard drive, with the idea being that like I use it at school for the remainder of that school year, and then after the school year was done, I would just keep it and it would be my external hard drive. And I'm like, yay, best of both worlds. So I get to school and I'm like the head of like maybe a team of like 6 people. And just for fun, I'm like, do we want to give it a fun name? Like, instead of just calling it the hard drive, like, I mean, we wouldn't actually call it like by the name, but so anyway, someone suggested Macbeth. And if you're all familiar with theater, you know that you don't say that name. Well, like, you first off, unless it's part of the play, like theater people don't tend to say it in the theater. And if they're really superstitious, they don't say it at all. And I have a lot of friends at the time who were like really into theater. So kind of as a joke, it got abbreviated to the Scottish hard drive. And to this day, I call it the Scottish hard drive just for shits and giggles. I think it's still floating around. That hard drive, oh, it was a piece of work. There were so many issues with it. But it did illuminate my eyes to the joys of external hard drives. And so now I don't absolutely need to have everything on external hard drives. In fact, I kind of would rather not have to have everything on external hard drives. But with the push for computers to be smaller and thinner, a lot of computers now, part of the trade-off for that is that, of course, you don't have as much storage space in the actual computer. So, especially as somebody who was doing a lot of recording video at the time for YouTube, I ran into storage spaces or storage space issues almost immediately after getting this particular computer. The computer I had at the time was, well, I want to say very old, but it actually wasn't very old. It was not a very elderly computer, but it was I want to say a 5-year-old PC laptop. And if you're familiar with PC laptops, you know they don't actually last all that long. Just realistically, you can expect 3, maybe 4 good years out of them unless you spend a ton of money. Macs tend to last longer before they go obsolete, which is cool, but they also cost more. So I decided that I wanted to try a Mac that time around, and I was going to spend a lot of money to get a good Mac. But when I went into the store, they didn't have anything above a 500 gig hard drive. Maybe it's 510, something like that. Anyway, I was used to a terabyte, and I was still busting at the seams with that terabyte storage space on my old computer. So I didn't want to wait, and I didn't want to pay extra for more storage anyway. So I just bought what they had, and I eventually got an external hard drive. I already had a couple, so I worked with those for a while, the old ones. That's Miranda and Tamara with Alexis as the partition. That was a backup partition that didn't end up working all so well. But it started with those 2 hard drives, and then eventually I ended up saying, like, I am sick of these hard drives causing problems. I am just going to finally get a good hard drive, and spent what felt like way too much on a hard drive. But it actually works well. So it was worth it, as much as I hate to say it. I think with this one, I think I need to make everything a little smaller. Something I talked a lot about last week, and I don't think I've addressed too much this week, if at all, is that when you are cutting stickers, it is at least best practice, if not required, to cut them with a bleed. And so a bleed is typically a little space, like extra design for full boxes at least, is like you design a little bit extra in case the sticker cuts a little off. And that way, if and when it cuts a little off, it you don't have it like a white space around the sticker. And that's really common in like all types of design. Like when you're designing a page for a book. I mean, the closest book I have is my D&D manual. Again, I'm a nerd. So when this page, when this page was being designed, for example, there is a little bit of a paper pattern on the back of that page, and that was printed on the page. The paper pattern in the design software did not end at the end of the page. It ended a little bit above the page. That way, when it was printed and then cut to the right size, if the printing was a little off, you didn't end up with white around it. I hope that makes sense. And that's also the reason why a lot of stickers have a little white border around them. It's because for that particular design, it doesn't make sense to extend the actual design beyond the sticker for one reason or another. And so instead of doing that, you have a little white space. That way, if and when it cuts a little off, it doesn't go into the main design. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if it does not. So when I set up this original file, I did include allowances for bleeds in the file, but I often forget that when I'm designing, the edge of whatever I'm designing is going to be cut off. So I run into the situation quite often, and it's not much. It's like, I don't know, it's like maybe that much, but I always like to assume it's that much just to be safe. It's usually better to have like more space around whatever the design elements are than less. So I often end up designing whatever it is and then having to make it smaller as a result, because once I kind of remember that it is not going to, that there is a little bit that's going to have to be cut off, I was like, oh, I'm just going to make it smaller. That's better than like reworking it. And I find that allowing some extra space in my designs makes it so I don't have to keep going back and forth. I don't have to like design something, bring it into Silhouette, which again is the software that I use to make my stickers, and be like, oh, that's going to be cut off, or oh, that's not going to look good. Or at the beginning of making sticker kits and starting my shop, I would actually like make a kit and print it out and being like, oh no, that does not look good because of the framing, because of these bleeds. And now I have enough experience that I don't usually have to do that anymore. Like, to be perfectly honest, I don't often do test spreads anymore when I design kits, because I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I never make any mistakes, because I most definitely do. But from all the experience, I kind of know what's going to look good and what's going to work and what's not going to work to some extent, if that makes sense. I've just figured it out. It's taken some time and I've figured it out. So like that is just, I guess, how it is at this point. No, I want that there and then that there. Yeah, I think that's how I want it. So it's not what I want. When I was new, especially to designing sticker kits, I would essentially do like a million test spreads for the kits, and like change the color of the of like the habit tracker boxes or different things like that. Like I'd make so many just small changes, and now because I have designed so many of these kits, and if you look at my shop, you won't see all that many kits, and that's where it like kind of comes back to, it's like I suck at making sure that I get my kits out in the shop, because a lot of them have to be done for the sticker subscription, and then for one reason or another don't make it into the shop because I'm lazy. I'm hoping that doing some of these design with me's, I'm not liking this shell. I like the idea of the variation, but I'm not liking how it's turning out. I'm hoping doing some of these live will kind of force me to put them in the shop, because I'm like, hey, I designed it live on stream. And then I'm like, oh, well, in case anybody does want to buy it, then I have to actually put it in the shop. So I'm hoping that will kind of inspire me to actually get my act together. When it comes down to it, if I'm being blunt, get my act together and actually get shit out in my shop. All right, we're going to go back to the seagrass. We haven't done much seagrass yet this stream. Ha ha ha. Okay, yeah, I like that. That's adding a little bit of visual interest to the background. I still want to put something else. No, I don't want that. I still want to put something else in the foreground besides the sea stars, but I haven't decided what yet. Maybe a little flower or something, but having that seagrass adds a little something to the background, so it's not just like plain. I think I want to flip that horizontally. Yeah, I think I like that. Oops. I'm trying to get the like kind of full side in this empty space here, so that there's a little bit of visual interest, but like in that, so that it's not like just completely blank, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then I'm going to take more seagrass, I think. All of the seagrass. I probably won't end up keeping it all, but we're going to at least attempt. We're going to see how it looks. I like the idea of using a couple of different colors of seagrass here in the background, just because it will give it more visual interest. I have no idea where that weird voice accent thingy came from. I don't even know like what I was trying, like what kind of accent I was trying to do. Yeah, that is too much. No, I think I like it simpler. We're just gonna get rid of that. If you're not familiar with how this works, by the way, in these layers, there's a little eye next to each layer, and if I turn it off, then it turns off the layer. I often do that as opposed to deleting things because it makes it so that if I want to bring that element back later, I still can. I very much like to work in a way, when possible, that I am deleting or erasing as little as possible. A lot of times it is referred to as like a lossless design style. You're basically not losing resolution. I'm sorry, I'm trying to break this down so like you're kind of understanding what I'm doing without having to like go into all the nitty gritty, because I understand that that is often boring. So, I mean, one benefit to designing digitally versus physically, obviously, is that you have tools in your tool belt that you do not have when doing physical designing. And one of them is that a lot of times you can essentially just hide things versus erasing them. And so you can like hide it, but not get rid of it entirely. It would be kind of the equivalent, and I guess in some ways is like old school animation. I don't know the specifics of this, but I know that old school animation, a lot of times the pictures were drawn on like basically clear transparencies, and then they were stacked on top of each other and to put together to make the whole picture, right? And so it would be the equivalent of taking one of those transparencies out of the stack, but keeping it in your files in case you ever wanted to use it again. I hope that makes sense. And if I completely lost you with that analogy, I'm sorry. I don't want to like assume that anybody knows anything about the programs and the things that I'm doing that they don't know, but I also don't want to mansplain it. So I'm trying to strike a delicate balance here. So please let me know if the balance I'm trying to strike is completely off. Okay, so looking at this, I like this from a visual point of view. I like kind of having the flowers there, but I feel like it's blending in too much. So we're going to use another one of what I talked about earlier, those adjustment layers. So I'm going to start just with vibrance like I had before. And I usually just start with the settings that I've used before again. Okay. So I am going to start by seeing what it looks like if I just apply it to the flowers. So we're going to go down here and create clipping mask. That's going to mean that it only applies to what's below it. Okay. So this, the flowers need more saturation, but I also would love to have a little bit more, I guess, vibrance in the sea stars. I think they could use that as well, but I did not like it on the background. So what we are going to do is I'm undoing the clipping mask. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take this and do I want it on the pearls as well? I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay. Well, we'll try it with all the pearls and we can mess around with it later. Okay. So I'm going to select all of my layers. I think that's the last pearl layer here. So I have all the layers selected that I wanted. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to click this little folder thing. And now it's going to put it into a folder. So now I can do things to this folder, this group of layers as a whole that I'm not doing to the rest of them. So, for instance, I can take this out. I'm pretty sure I can do this as a clipping mask to everything in that folder. And remember, a clipping mask will apply to everything in the layer below it. So in this case, the layer below it is this folder. It's this group of layers. So you'll see if I turn it on and off, it is rather subtle in some ways. But see how when I'm clicking it on and off, how everything in the foreground is changing, but not in the background. I'm not sure with this seagrass, do I want that included or not? I have to figure that out. So do love those colors, but I do not want it to detract from the main visual of the full box. Okay, definitely needs to be there in some way, shape, or form. Okay. This is my history window. And this, come on, should give me the ability to jump back and forth between a couple of different states of design. So kind of like I was doing earlier where I was turning on and off that one layer, this will allow me to jump back and forth to where the seagrass is. Okay, I think I'm going to keep it not in the vibrance cluster. I can always change it later, but I think it's just too much. One thing also to keep in mind, and I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not, but as I'm designing, one thing I am always keeping in mind is that I'm going to lose a little bit of saturation and brightness and depth of my colors when they get printed. And that just has to do with the nature of how things print. When you print on glossy paper, you lose significantly less detail, but you still will lose a little bit. But this particular sticker kit going out in my subscription box is going to be on matte sticker paper. And you'll lose significantly more with matte than you will with glossy. So that is another argument for things to be a little bit brighter and a little bit darker than, like, if I'm unsure, to sway on the brighter and darker side of things. I hope that makes sense. I think I did talk about this last week now that I think about it, because I'm pretty sure I told a story about how I created a set of stickers that I thought was gorgeous. And then when they printed out, I mean, they were a little bit more desaturated than they were on the screen. But to me, like, it wasn't a big deal. But one person said, like, it looks like the printing has faded. So now I always kind of take that into consideration. Okay, so I like that better. I just put an extra saturation layer on those flowers. They're still blending in, though, in a way I don't like. It's a shame. I was hoping I wouldn't have to use like one of these roses, because I do like the idea of having kind of like flowers or something more in those like pinky tones in there. But I think with all of the detail and small bits of this flower and the pearls, it's just not working. So, let's try this. I am starting to lose a little steam, by the way, guys. I'm not to the point where I'm going to stop the stream immediately, but I am getting to a point where it may happen soon. And I knew that kind of scheduling this and going into it, so it's not a big deal. Come on. Okay, no, I want that. I think I actually want it above. I want to see what that looks like above everything. Okay. I think I like that. Anyone who is here, please let me know what you think. I know I said earlier I didn't want to include the roses, but maybe it's just the colors we're talking about here, but I think it works. I still can mess around with it a little bit, obviously. Yeah, I like that, I think. Okay. I've spent an hour on this literal one full box. That's okay. That's how it goes sometimes. Okay, so 5 is done. Oh no, I had this one and that one that I was doing. Okay, not an hour on one full box. I feel better now. And then we have these two. Let me actually just put down a save on this because I just realized I hadn't saved. I think Photoshop auto saves every so often anyway, but I don't want to rely on that too much because that has bitten me in the ass. Okay, so let's look at Artboard 7. I'm literally just looking to make sure I don't have too many mermaids and too many of like identical mermaids, and I don't, so I'm good there. Okay, so this it looks like was one image that I put in there. I would love to see a drop shadow behind the rock. With her hand there, it might be a little tricky. Let me see what I can do. I just realized that I'm feeling like ever so slightly faint. I had a snack with me just in case I needed food during the stream. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to snack. This is Target's generic brand of Lara bars. This is the apple pie. It's not my fave flavor, but it's what I had. So it is what it is. And for anybody wondering, it's like 4:45 where I am right now. So it is getting close to dinner. Now that I think about it, I don't think we had that color rock in the elements, but I think having a normal colored rock would go better with everything anyway. I might be having technical problems. My preview just stopped. I don't know if that's just the preview or the whole screen. Okay, I think it was just the preview. I refreshed the page and everything seems to be working. False alarm. Okay, so this is a case of I'm going to try to recreate, not try, it's not going to be hard. It's not like this is a very hard composition to recreate, but in this artboard 7, I'm basically going to take the individual elements and make the same composition so that I have more control. All right, let's go over the mermaids. Oh, she's already cut there. That sounds weird to say, but it actually makes my job easier. Because I don't have to put her behind, I don't have to put the image behind the rock. I can put it just next to the rock and I don't have to worry about doing anything weird with the layers. Oh, wow, that is, needs a little bit of adjustment there. Okay, so stone and mermaid and, okay. Let's see if I can get that to line up nicely. Mostly I just don't want to make it look like totally awkward and not real. There, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so the whole reason for doing that, so I could add my stupid little drop shadows. Thanks for confirming everything looks fine, Abigail, by the way. I know it took me a sec to like actually respond to that comment, but I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, but by doing the drop shadow, I'm not sure if you can see, we're ending up with a few little artifacts that makes the composition look not quite so real. And I'm not sure if that's the kind of thing that a lot of people would notice, but I'm not a lot of people. I'm a designer. So we are going to fix it. So there are 2 steps to fixing this. First step is I've created what's called a mask layer. This is kind of what I was talking about not like erasing it and basically hiding it. So we already talked about how, you know, if I click the eye, that I can essentially hide whatever that layer is, but there's another way of doing this called a mask. And the way a mask works, just a minute. The way a mask works is you're basically saying, I want to selectively say what I want to show and hide on the layer below. And I know it's kind of hard to see here, especially if you're on a small screen, but there's a little black. So basically, anytime I paint with black, you can see black here, across the layer that has the mask on, it makes it transparent. See? And then I'm going to switch it over to white. And anytime I switch it back over to white, it brings it back, right? So that allows me to erase something and effectively make it so I'm temporarily erasing it in case I don't, in case I change my mind later. So unless I'm forced to actually erase, I try never to. I just realized that the drop shadow I put on here looks a little different than here. I'm just gonna go back and recopy it. It might just be me being crazy, but whatever. Copy layer style. And let's go back to artboard 7. Paste layer style. So let's do this. Clear layer style, and then we'll paste it on top. Nope, looks the same. Okay, cool. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I got rid of that like little residue kind of right there that I didn't like. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna duplicate this layer. So now I have 2 mermaids. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off the drop shadow on this one, because I want the rock drop shadow to be on the top. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that part of things yet. There's a couple of different options, but now that I have the mermaid here, this is the mermaid everyone's gonna see, this one on the top. So we have no mermaid, this is the top mermaid, this is the bottom mermaid. So, hide the top mermaid, show the bottom mermaid. I'm gonna take that here, and I want a little bit bigger of a brush. I think what I'm doing right now is hidden under my face, but I'm just making it so my brush is a little bigger. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, oops, okay. I thought by erasing this, I was getting rid of the drop shadow. Oh, maybe that is, what the hell is going on? Oh, I'm on white, not black. That would be the reason. Okay. I actually do need to get rid of that rock. So it looks like this image had a little bit of something over here. Probably when the artist was like cutting off the side of the mermaid, so it looked like she was looking around the rock. They just missed a little bit. It happens. So I'm just gonna take all that away. Again, it's one of those things that probably won't really show up much in the final product, but it's one of those small details. Sometimes they make a big difference. Okay, so let's bring our rock back. Okay, so we do not want her drop shadow on the front of the rock because we want it to look like she's behind the rock, right? So now it will work correctly. So I'm just gonna take away this, oops, this part of her. I do want to leave the hand. So let's go back down to 2. I'm just gonna really fairly quickly, it doesn't need to be exact because it's gonna be small enough in the final that it won't matter. I'm just gonna really quickly erase there. You can see it's all pixelated. That's okay. Now, is there actually a faster way to do this in Photoshop? In this particular instance, I don't know. But in general, there is a faster way to erase around things in Photoshop. I, maybe because I was self-taught, usually can't get them to work as quickly and as well as just going in manually and masking or erasing out what I want erased. That's just me. Okay. Here we go. She looks real weird. I know. Real weird. All right, and then off camera again, or under my eye, I'm gonna make my brush a little bigger. bigger. Sorry, because of the like framing of everything, I know I'm hiding some of what I'm doing. Ah, stop it. Okay. This is probably way more than I have to erase, but I just, as long as I have that outer border, I'm okay. And I just figured, you know what, might as well. Okay, there we go. So, yes, she looks really weird. But I bring that back. And so the difference is that we still have that border with her and the rock, but we don't have her drop shadow over the rock. Now we need to deal with the rock. So again, I'm going to duplicate this layer. And in this case, I'm partially duplicating it because I don't want to lose where it currently is. I'll do this a lot when I don't want to lose my progress. I'll basically duplicate something and then I'll just turn the duplicate off. That way, if I don't like whatever changes I made, I can just bring it right back. So in this case, I'm wondering, can I just bring this above her? It will have a slightly different, it will look a little different like where she's cut off. And I literally might have just wasted my time. I think I literally just wasted my time. That's okay. This is literally the process of designing a lot of times. It's just like, do something. Oh, I like it. Oh, I don't like it. Okay. Yeah, I think I like it. I might try making this a little bigger. I want to kind of fill this upper corner. Hey, stop that. I'm using the arrow keys to nudge it, by the way, for anybody who's curious. There we go. So I don't know if you can see, it is a little subtle, but there is a little bit of a drop shadow on her. So the sun is coming from this direction, and then it's casting a little bit of a shadow on her. Yes, the shadows aren't perfect, but I like that. Okay. I think I'm going to throw a quick background on this. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it and then I'm going to be done because honestly, while my little snack is helping a lot, it is not helping all the way. I'm wondering if I should drink more coffee. I go to bed late anyway. It doesn't matter. Okay. Coco apparently wants dinner too. Coco also ate breakfast at 11:30 and has plenty of food left in her bowl. So she's probably not going to get dinner for another couple hours. That's okay. All right. So looking at the whole set together, I'm tempted to try a darker background. They're right next to each other, and I don't like the fact that they're right next to each other, but this does not have to be the final layout of the boxes. And I think I said in the actual planner kit, I'm probably going to put this one like over here or something, because I don't want like all the mermaids, especially the ones that do have kind of similar framing, right next to each other. So, I'll just copy whatever is in Artboard 6. I forget what I used. And then we'll mess around with it from there so it doesn't look like a carbon copy. Ooh, yes, I like that. Having the dark background really sets her off, especially because we have all of the light tones in her hair and in her fin. I have mentioned it and I will mention it again. I wish this particular set of graphics came with a little bit more diversity in skin tone, but it is what it is. All right. So my brain is going. So I don't want this to look exactly like this one did. You can see that, you know, there's that little thing, even though you're not seeing as much of it. So a really easy way to fix that is just to like rotate it. And then I have to move it around so to make sure everything's covered. If I can get the dark bit down here, I think it would really make the tail pop. Ooh, like that. Yes. Because her hair, I think, is light enough. And there's enough definition that it pops. I like that. We still have kind of the brush strokes going in the same direction. So we are still seeing similarity between the two. But, sorry. My goal was to make sure it didn't look like it was copy and pasted from that one to that one. Though I do like a little bit of this watercolor splatter. I'm not sure if that's the right term. I wonder if I can get a little bit of that up here. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do. Okay. So image, edit, transform, flip horizontal. Okay, so now it's mirrored from this one. That gives me a little bit more license and ability to do things to it without fear of looking exactly the same. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Maybe a little bigger, because again, this is going to be very, very small. I mean, we're talking 2 inches high. So if I can get that texture there a little bigger and throw out more of the background, I think that will be nice. Thank you for hanging out, by the way, Abigail, if you're still here. I know that these casual streams aren't nearly as like topical and pointed for a lot of people, and not everybody on YouTube, obviously, because it's not like primarily a streaming platform, really likes streams of this like more casual variety. So I appreciate you being here and, you know, giving me feedback here and there. It's really helpful, and I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you to everybody else who is watching this, whether you're live or watching the replay. But I just wanted to give Abigail a shout out because she gave me some feedback a sec ago, and that is much appreciated. I think I like that. I'm just going to try resizing that a little bit to see if I like making the mermaid and the rock a little smaller. Yay! Thank you for still being here, Abigail. I appreciate you. And I did select them all so that they would all resize together, so I wouldn't have to do that whole thing again. Part of the reason why I'm doing this is I wanted to get a little bit more of her fin, a little bit more in the frame. Because we have some beautiful texture and color there that I'd love to do. I'd love to keep. Okay. So now I want to try one more thing. I want to see what happens if I up the vibrance on her. I might not like it. but I might love it. Okay, I love it. I don't think it's necessarily needed on the screen, but I think for printing purposes, it will be quite vital, because I think the colors are light enough that they wouldn't have popped otherwise. Again, I am going to lose a little bit of vibrance and saturation when I print this. I didn't want to add it to the background here as much, I don't think. Let's see. Yeah, because we're making this too bright. It doesn't look good in my opinion. So we're just going to brighten her up. I didn't do it to the rock because I already determined I didn't like it over the rock color previously when I did it. I could probably even darken her up a little bit. I'm not going to do it on stream, but I just realized I might be able to play around with the graphics a little bit and play around with skin color. It's not something I'm necessarily comfortable doing. I'm going to have to do it probably on my iPad. I don't know if it's going to work. But from both the diversity perspective as well as a design perspective, I think having slightly darker skin colors in some of these would work better. Especially like here, if one of the mermaids had a darker skin than the other, I feel like that scene would just like pop so much more. And it would just be so pretty too. I also, when I do use like humans or humanoid figures in my designs, whenever possible, I like to use a mix of skin tones. As I mentioned, in this case, the artwork didn't come with that mix of skin tones. I'm not sure if I can change the skin tones. I'm not sure if I can do it believably with this style. But I think if I can, I think, as I said, both from like just purely a design standpoint, I think it's going to look better and the colors and the mermaids are going to pop more. And I also like the idea of showing different skin colors. So I can't make any promises. And as I said, I'm probably going to do that off stream. But I will definitely see what I can do. At this point in time, I think I am going to just add a little bit more saturation on her to make her pop, just because I'm thinking about it right now. And then I'm going to end, because as I said, I am like losing steam and I'm hungry and I'm just not used to streaming for a really long time. I do like doing these design streams though. So I have one more box that needs to be done that I didn't do today. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that on stream next week or if I'm going to do that one off stream. It's honestly just going to kind of depend on my mood, to be perfectly honest. It's this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this. Again, it probably won't end up next to this one, so it won't necessarily matter if there is a rock in both. Though something can be said to like having a rock in both and having them kind of match up. I love doing that, especially when I love having like a continuation, not necessarily because they have to be used together, but just because it looks really pretty on the sheet. Anyway, so next, I may or may not do this one next week. I'll probably do it at the same or a similar time, the design stream again. I'll schedule it a couple days in advance. I may or may not do this one on stream, but I may do this on stream, I may not. And then once, hopefully, if I do this on stream, we'll have time to actually lay it out in the sticker kit, and I'll show you kind of that process as well. So I don't want to promise anything because I do have a lot going on, but that's the plan as it stands now. If you have any feedback on what the plan should be or is, please let me know. If anybody is watching, I'm guessing the replay because we don't have a lot of people here right now, but if anybody is watching the replay after the fact and knows more about how to like really believably change the skin color with this style of artwork when you don't have access to like the original artwork, I have a few ideas on how to do it, but if anybody knows specifically like do this, let me know in the comments. That would be very helpful. If not, I'll play around with it. But as I said, I make no promises because I'd rather not have it. I'd rather not change the skin colors at all than change it and have it look bad, if that makes sense. So anyway, thank you so much for coming and being with me on this Design With Me very rambly, very long stream. This has been a lot of fun, even though I am kind of worn out and hungry and the cats want food. But yeah, I just want to say that I appreciate you being here along this journey with me. I hope it was interesting and maybe you learned a thing or two about design or the things that you can consider when designing something, or maybe Photoshop. I don't know. Happy to answer any questions that you have in the comments down below, comments, feedback, all that sort of thing. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am open to constructive feedback. I just don't tolerate rudeness. So if you have something constructive, just don't be rude about it. We're all good. We can all be friends. We can disagree and still be perfectly polite. All right, that is all. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye.